This podcast is sponsored by Relevant, a location-based mobile network personalized by your interests. Customize your newsfeed to consolidate all the information you care about all in one place to quickly and easily find what's relevant to you. Find out what's going on in your local area and reach your community from the palm of your hand. Relevant is available on iOS and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
What's up, guys? This is a Poorly Edited Podcast, the show where we put a spotlight on some of the most creative minds we can find, as best as a couple college kids can do.
Not very well.
Very well. We're here today in the Bethlehem Public Library's new recording studio. What? We're here with Matt Molchany and Josh Berk, who have headed that project, and we're going to be talking to them today about all the twists and turns of running a band recording studio out of the library.
An actual library.
Yeah, I'm sure there's books. So
There are books.
We got books.
Library confirmed. So guys, we learned about you, I should say, back when we were on Tape Swap Radio, episode 53, I think, because you co-founded Tape Swap and everything like that.
Seamus at DIY.
Yep. So and then since then we've been hearing about you all the time because you're actually the one who has been mentioned probably 45 times on our show previously because we talked to Run from the Radio.
Yeah, recording everyone.
Everyone that we
Brown,
know.
right?
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, Chad too. That's right.
It's been long
Penn Johnson
coming.
too?
Yeah, Penn. I did
Okay.
two singles with him.
Everybody.
It's a Matt fan podcast.
Yeah.
They can come to your house.
Don't go to. Or go to Shards. You go to Shards.
Yeah, go to Shards. That's cool.
Yeah. So you run Shards Recording Studio. And so that's been pretty successful, obviously, I would say, because everyone I know has been talking about going there.
Yeah, I've been full-time with it 3 years now.
Wow, that's awesome.
In November, I had like the 3-year anniversary.
Shards anniversary.
Yeah, 3-year doing it full-time. I've actually had the space for 10 years.
Jeez.
Wow.
And it started as like a band practice space, a very sloppily organized band practice space at first. I started with like no money, with nothing. I just found it. It was like, that's the spot I'm going to make music, and then just figured it out from there.
It does. The aesthetic really vibes with that, where it's not the kind of place you can go in and put that kind of aesthetic up in like a year. You have to like slap that on really slowly over the course of acquiring stuff.
It was kind of like a whole lot of people having like a free feeling in a place and like feeling permitted to be there.
Don't you have like a steel beam in there?
Yeah, it used to be a machine shop.
Oh.
They manufactured snowflake makers there.
What?
You mean there's a whole? Do you need a fabrication shop just for that one job?
They would fix the compressors used to make snow at ski resorts.
Oh.
Yeah, so they would use that to swing engines from one station to the other.
It wasn't like for God or anything.
Yeah,
Up there making snowflakes.
Like those little
No, like
That's a weird machine.
no, yeah,
whole building.
the machines that made snow at resorts were
Wow.
made and fixed there. Yeah, it was a machine shop basically.
That's
Are there
very
any
interesting.
still operating in Shards? Like, could you make it snow if
Plenty
you
of
had to?
snowflakes there.
Okay.
No, they just hanging around. I'm one. What was your question?
So I can imagine that experience that you've had doing Shards and the experience you have with all of that has translated very easily into this project. And so were there any challenges with, I mean, it's kind of an unorthodox thing to say we're going to put a recording studio in the basement of a library. So like, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges involved with
I'm sure there's still, we don't even know about it.
Oh, yeah.
It actually it was really smooth. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like anytime I test the
I can
drums, I'm
relate
like,
to
oh
that.
man, someone's going to hate me for this. I'm waiting for some kind of pushback, but
Well, I'm the boss, so
yeah.
it's half the time.
I mean, you could
It's
probably...
me playing the drums.
Yeah.
So, no.
Well, you could probably answer to some of the more specific challenges.
Yeah, I mean, it fell together in such an easy way. Honestly, it's surprising. We're not the first library to do this. Like, I've read about a couple libraries that have something similar. There's one that's been in Chicago, mostly big city libraries. One's been in Chicago for a while. There's one in Brooklyn. There's one in
Erie, right?
there's some in Erie has something that it's more like a lot of libraries are adding what they call like maker labs, like maker space, where they have different types of tools like 3D printers or sometimes specialized software or different, even some have like machine shops that people can use, like for like soldering or like little things, not for snowflake makers, yeah. And so it was sort of on my radar because we've been renovating, and so we had some open space here in the library, and I had mentioned this just to one of my, I mentioned it so long ago to Mary.
You mentioned it to me too.
I mentioned it to you.
Yeah,
I was just excited about it as a concept. I just read about it somewhere, and I was like, "Oh, wouldn't that be neat to do sometime at the library?" And then I don't even remember mentioning it to Mary Foltz, who's a professor at Lehigh and part of what's called the Southside Institute. It's like a group of Lehigh professors who are all active and doing stuff in the community. And I must have mentioned it to her. Obviously, I did. I don't remember because then many years later, she said, "Are you still interested in doing that recording studio at the library? Because I think we have a line on some funds to get you the equipment." And so I just said, "Oh yeah, sure, absolutely, we're ready to do it." Although I did not expect it to happen that fast, and so there was grant funds available.
And that kind of helped it exceed the original idea too, because I think over a year ago you were mentioning like having like Audacity and like something where you hit record and have one mic and just go. Yeah. So I started hoarding stuff at Shards. Like I'm going to get some extra stuff to bring here, and whatever. Yeah,
some libraries have some. Well, that actually I saw. So the Penn State Lehigh Valley campus has something they call a one-button recording studio, and that's in their library. And I was there visiting for some other reason, and I thought that was pretty neat. So then I was like, oh, maybe we can do something like that in the library. Thinking more like for students doing a project or whatever. And then once this Lehigh grant came together and they were able to provide us with $10,000 worth of equipment that didn't come from the library budget. It's hard for us to come by extra funds like that. So and it was quick. It was one of those weird things sometimes in my world, like just grant years or like what they are. And it was like November, and they're like, we have to spend this money by December. So we just had to put it together so fast. And then, luckily Matt was available to help with, the setup of the project. And
so you knew Matt before then?
Yeah, I knew Matt before.
How'd you guys meet?
Just from playing music, because I've recorded at Shards too.
Oh, what's your background in music like?
I'm like a bad guitarist.
Okay, yeah, I can relate to that too. We're pretty similar.
All right, good. Yeah, I've played in a lot of like kind of garage bands over the years.
Yeah,
I have a group of guys with now. I've been playing for a while, so we like to record every once in a while. So yeah, pretty low key. But,
I got you.
Like we're not on tour or anything, but we like I love making music. I love playing guitar, and I've done some home recording, and like everybody else, just sort of dabbled with like different stuff. My good buddy Bill and I have been like making music together for like 20 years. We had like a rap band for a while. We had like a country album. We just like playing music. Mostly we play just kind of loud garage kind of punk metal stuff is like we're mostly into. But I've been doing that for a long time. So then I met Matt Shards, and we actually had a different sound engineer that was part of the original grant. That wasn't my choice. But then that fell through, and I was like, yes, let's get Matt in here. So it all worked out really fortuitously, really. I mean, and I knew Matt was like a whiz at the studio engineering side, but also just like a believer in the idea of doing something for the community that would be, not really for anyone's personal gain, but just for the good of the community, good of the music scene, and just a cool thing to do. So, we're not exactly like trailblazing, but it's pretty unique. I mean, it's definitely the first one of its kind around here, and I think it's great though. Like I mentioned to you, they're like it's perfect for Bethlehem. Like everyone in Bethlehem is a musician anyway. So, like if there's going to be a city to have it, like and at that open house, like if you got like everyone who came in was like a virtuoso
and ready to play.
They were all so good. They were like kids who were like geniuses. They're like old people who were like awesome. Like an old guy playing the bongo that was incredibly funny. And just
I my dad.
Don't tell him I said that. But they were just like everybody who walked in, they were like some legit just virtuosos, just wandered in. They're like, hey, what's going on? And they just pick up and like, I don't really play. And then they're just brilliant. But I know some people who aren't from here originally, and then they've said that to me. They're like, is everybody in Bethlehem in a band? I was like, I think so.
It feels like it. Like that's how I
guess so.
I'm like not surprised, but it's like amazing that I have like such a supportive community. Like I wouldn't have a job unless those people were out there wanting to do music and just keep on working on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cities our size that don't have it. So it's pretty cool.
I was really surprised when we like ran into Chad in a coffee shop, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm recording down the street," and I'm like, "Where?"
I just went. First time we heard about Shards.
Like I just went down that street, and I didn't see a single recording studio.
Just the way I like it.
Yeah, you got a secret knock to get in.
And then I looked it up on Google Maps, and it's like open all the time, and I'm like, "What?" It's the garage in an alley, and it's open 24 hours. I'm like, what?
It's supposed to feel like it is. It's not really.
Matt's always working.
It is not open.
Don't go to his house.
Again.
So Josh, you said that the original guy dropped out. You went to Matt. Matt, were you thinking of this sort of thing before, or were you excited about the opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, we had
Was it
talked
something
about
totally
it.
new.
I think
or?
it was over a year ago. I mean, it was when my band played a show here or something like that.
Even
you talked
before-
about it then, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's gotta happen.
Played a show
You
here.
said what?
Yeah, that we played a show upstairs in the Cohen room.
Okay.
Was that the one with?
You've played here more than
Yes,
once.
yeah, we played here with what's his name?
With Lance. That was last year.
That was in June, but we played here with Selector Dub Narcotic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Calvin
played that
Johnson
show
was
too. Yeah.
So yeah, besides my band, like having known Matt through just as a musician, when I was fairly new here at the library, like 5 years ago, I guess, I reached out to Tape Swap just because I saw it online somewhere. And first of all, I just thought it sounded cool. Like Tape Swap Radio just sounded cool to me. And second of all, it was like I started following their Twitter account. And I noticed that they were hosting shows at different places.
Oh,
Like,
that's what you tweeted at us. We were
Yeah.
like, why is the library tweeting?
but I love
And
it.
it wants to do a kids thing or something? They don't really do that, but
Yeah, right. No, because I saw you guys had a show. The Ice House, you had a show at some other venue, and I was like, hey, if you ever need a venue that may be somewhere different, but in the same kind of vibe, consider playing at the library because I don't know. I like the library to be as active as possible. I like us to have, and I feel like as a library, like we're allowed to branch out into any sort of cultural space we want, and music is a big one around here. It's an interest of mine and some of my colleagues who work here. So I was like, let's just start. And libraries almost always have some music programming. Like they'll bring in a classical guitarist on a Saturday or whatever. Like libraries will experiment with different kind of cultural programming. But I was like, yeah, let's just like really kind of tap into this different kind of music scene. First of all, just because I like it. Second of all, because I know it'll bring in different people to the library.
Right.
And it really has. I mean, the first Tape Swap show we had here was huge.
yeah, the first one was Mira.
Yeah. Mira was like happened to be looking for a venue
Yeah.
on a night that we
And
were-
Lewis and Clark, like the ones at K-Rex band, which is really awesome. And then it was Lewis and
Secret
Clark.
Cities.
Yeah, Secret Cities from New York. So it was a really cool first show. Like just amazing acts. Like they were all really good.
And the library, I just felt like I was so like the library. There were people in here. It was like there were so many like tattoos and mohawks and like there were just so many interesting people in here. I was like, the library is like a scene right now. And I was like, this is really really good. And I know that some of those folks hadn't been in the library in a while. I mean, some of them maybe have been, but I know I'm not trying to put anybody
That's
down.
fine though if you're bringing them back.
That's what I thought. It was
That's
great.
what's so cool
Exactly.
about
It
what's
was-
going on
it
here.
was great to
broadening
get people
horizons.
back. Yeah. So then, so I sort of already had connected with Matt through that scene too. And
And I think that far back you mentioned it. And I had, at the same time, in parallel, was talking to the Alternative Gallery about putting something in their basement too, of some sort. And then I don't know if you know Service Dog.
Yep.
At all.
Heard of-
Leo
yeah.
was talking about the idea of like a recording space that's open to the public, and the gears have been turning for a while about it. It just seemed like lots of people, or at least a concentration of people who think like that, had that on their minds.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that something like this, and in the interest of that community, because I mean, you said it wasn't to really benefit any like yourselves directly by doing it. It was something you just wanted to do to benefit for the good of the community, and a community that has such a high interest in music, you felt like was kind of a no-brainer. So, doing a project like that, are there certain goals that you have in terms of what you'd want to accomplish with a space like this, or what you'd want to be the result of a program like this here?
Part of it is similar to like what the impetus behind Tape Swap was. It's like I want people to see that what their area is capable of, and like you can't do that unless you have something kind of like either supporting the ability to work on that stuff or kind of pumping that work back out into the public. So like that was really important to me. Like Tape Swap, and that's important to me because you can submit songs and we'll probably play it on the radio at some point, and then you can tell everybody I got played on the radio, and it's going to motivate you to want to work more, work at your craft more, and like get better, make better music, have that happen again. But then the other component is having that space to do it.
Right.
And not everyone has that space to do it, or the money to do it too.
Yeah.
Like with Shards, I try and charge as like little as possible so that everyone has access to it. And for anyone that can't even afford that, they have this now. And I guess one of the other big things going into this space, as well as Shards, I wanted it to feel like you're allowed to be there. Like I've walked into I've like recorded a bunch of studios over the years, and like I've walked into somewhere, either the look of it or the attitude of the engineer or a combination of both made me feel like you're lucky you're even in here or something like that. And that's just like the opposite of where you make art to me.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of.
And for me, I've worked in libraries for 20 years now. I started when I was right out of college in 1998. And so and every year I've been in libraries, someone's been predicting the death of the public library,
Yeah.
because I was there right when the internet exploded in, everything. And I was there when the first internet computers were rolled into the library, and a lot of the older librarians were like, why are we doing this? Like, literally, like, we're putting ourselves out of business, right? And, the past 5 years here haven't always been a walk in the park, because some of our funding gets challenged at the state level or at the local level. The city of Bethlehem's been fairly good, but there's been some other challenges where it's like no one uses libraries anymore. I can hear that a lot from even like my own big politicians, And my job then is, well, first of all, that's not true. It's not true, right? So just on its face, it's not true. But there are some things that, as someone who monitors this stuff super closely, sure, if you look at the number of books checked out 10 years ago versus last year, it's fewer. People aren't checking out books in the same numbers. And people have, people aren't calling the library to ask a reference question. They're Googling it, obviously. So, our role has changed. We still fill a lot of that traditional need, and we still, so we loaned over 500,000 books last year. It's not like no one's borrowing stuff. Wow. But it's less than it used to be. So we're always looking for ways to kind of reinvent ourselves. And if you can create something that people really want and really would miss if it was gone and have a real deep connection to, then it's that's my goal. I don't want to hear anybody say no one uses libraries anymore. Right. I never want to hear that phrase again. That's my goal. So
you think this is the evolution of libraries for the future?
Seems like it.
And honestly, to me, it seems like that too. Yeah.
It's at least part of it, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And
So, I feel like library is all about serving your community. So, if there's as many ways as you can do that as possible, makes
right, yeah.
That's intellectual
exactly
resource being one.
Yeah, it's not about what we want to push out to people. It's about
It doesn't have to be about books.
That just
it can be more than that.
Right.
You just happen to have a couple of those laying around.
Just a few.
That was the thing. Obviously, not to give you a history of the public library, but obviously books were super expensive at the time the public library started, and people couldn't afford them. And it was really meaningful for a community. Philadelphia is one of the first libraries in the country where Ben Franklin and others pooled their resources and their books and was hey, we'll share these with each other since we can't afford to buy more than one a year because they were so rare and so expensive. And now information's everywhere. Books are plentiful and cheap, and information is plentiful and free. But there's
sometimes wrong.
That's sometimes wrong. There is that. That is true. A lot of libraries are trying to be more active in that space too. It's kind of fighting against. I don't even want to say fake news, but that's
disinformation.
Disinformation campaigns. Yeah, exactly. Being a reliable source of information, and then also being community spaces. The library has a lot. There's still a lot of need for people to meet in person. You can do a lot of music collaborating over your computer, but there's nothing like being in the room with somebody.
Yeah.
So, and we have a lot of different types of groups like that, meetings, book groups, art groups, all sorts of stuff. But this really, I think, is just a perfect fit.
Was
for
a screening last night?
Yeah, we had a film project with Alternative Gallery last night, a found footage screening, and you can obviously sit at home and find weird footage on YouTube if you want, but it's way more fun to be in a room full of people, discovering something.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And then you have a room full of people to share it with. Yeah. Experiences are still, making experiences is something I think libraries can really be a part of. And this, I think, is even, to me, it's even deeper than, see, if you come to the library and see a great band, that's a cool experience. But if you come to the library and make your album, that's an even deeper experience.
You remember that for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, exactly. And if anyone says,
for the rest of your life.
And if anyone says to you, no one uses libraries anymore, you say, shut up, I made my album there. That, my library was a big part of my life, and that's what I want to be. So that's sort of my big goal.
They're all so wholesome. They're all such wholesome goals. Well, no, I think it's really cool that there's something there for people who, not everybody has the time or the money or even the know-how of even if they did have the money, what gear do they buy if they wanted to do something like that? How do they go about that? So it's nice to have programs that have those things available for people to get to try things out and get to figure out if they even like things.
See what works with them.
Yeah, to see.
All kinds of different software.
Yeah, I think it's so important for people to be able to have that ability and that outlet and I think it makes the community just better, in general.
We hope so. Yeah, I find a lot of our kind of people really appreciate. I mean, not everybody. Most people really appreciate the expertise. Some people think they know everything, but a lot of people, because we'll have a program on, say, like, oh, we had one on like gardening, and it's like, how easy is it to Google like best practice, like tips for gardening? It's super easy, but so many people came because they just wanted to ask. And it's a person who was an expert who they trusted, and they didn't want to get flooded with like weird results and ads and whatever. And also, they want it to be local. Like, what kind of plant can I plant in my yard in Bethlehem, right? Like, and they wanted a local expert with like local hands-on information. So I think even more than the gear, I think like the expertise might even be a better, more valuable thing ultimately that people get out of the space. And also just finding each other. It's so cool already. Like a couple of people I've met here who are like going on to form bands.
Yeah, one of the kids who donated some stuff. He's a younger guy who went to LVPA. He jammed with some people at the open house, and now he's like engineering a session tomorrow. He engineered a session last night, was it? Yep. Something like that.
Yep.
So he's working on like mixes from that for somebody who came in and finished up their album here.
And he played drums. He played drums on that album.
He ended up playing drums on it. He wasn't originally going to do that, so he went from like kid who donated some stuff to this idea to session drummer, engineer, helping with mixing.
And we saw at the open house people giving each
his
other
number,
so
he's probably going to end up playing with some of the people in that.
I feel like that's how the music scene really grows, especially like underground stuff is like just word of mouth, and just showing up to shows and stuff. Like,
and it's just one more place to be able to do that. That potential.
I think that the worst thing that I hear people say about this area in the Lehigh Valley is that there is nothing to do and the art scene is dead and there's nothing going on. But it's not that that's not true. It's just that you need places like this that are going to foster those things.
Yeah, places like this, like it's just going to happen more when you have something like this in place. Yeah, obviously.
And it is hard. Like I was talking to Nick, and he was saying how, if you're a venue trying to make money, and especially like under 21, like sort of slightly weird music, like you're not going to make it. It's impossible to stay in business. You either have to be a bar and make money on it, or you have to bring in bigger bands and sell tickets. And so to try to like, there's just no, I know, and people get creative. People have like house shows or stuff, but it doesn't last. Like it's usually, it comes and goes and it's hit or miss. And so, you still need a physical space to like get together and
we can do some mixers and
yeah.
every couple months.
I want to have like some open jams here, like just to schedule a date. We just say bring your instrument and see who shows up. I mean, that's what happened at the open house. We didn't even plan it.
Yeah, it just happened.
It was so good. It was really cool.
There were a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big crowd. Good vibes, good musicians.
A lot of intermingling, which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's the thing too. Like a scene's only going to be as strong as like the people connected to it. So if you have one little piece that's kind of a fragment that thinks it's the only part of the music scene, it's not really going to do that well once people kind of phase out of it. But this is the kind of thing that like creates like a little feedback loop of people coming back into it and connecting everybody.
And there were definitely people from different generations playing together here on Saturday. That was cool to see too, because it's easy to just it's hard to like connect with people from outside. We all have our circles, so that was cool.
So we're actually recording this show right now using the studio and the equipment and the board and everything like that. So was it a challenge to get the gear necessary in order to pull something like this off at the level? Because it seemed like it started out as being a kind of smaller project that you just wanted kind of a one button, recording whatever, and then it evolved into this huge project involving a full studio. So
half of the whole thing, like we wouldn't have had a jam session or even recorded anything this week if it weren't for the donations. So like on one hand, like it's amazing that like the community came and like pretty much put a piano, a drum set, a keyboard, PA system, samplers, drum machine, organ, like all that stuff. Some of the absorption stuff. Awesome. It's awesome. You gotta play it then. Well, you heard a little sneak peek before Amherst. Our duet's coming.
No.
But I mean, the board though it was in place, but at first
that's Lehigh money.
Yeah, that was Lehigh money. So we're really
gift.
Grateful for that. That was like
Are there any donators you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean it's Chris Long, Phil Engel, Nick Prokopak, Brianna Cruz, Sam Radonia, Suzanne Moore, Ian Posh, Vivian Apple. Josh, you want to take the other
Vivian
board?
is the one who gave us this piano.
Yeah, she gives the piano.
Oh, the California Drum Shop, is a local, awesome kind of community drum music shop.
They're always throwing down to help people.
Always helpful.
He gave us a headphone amp. Ben Stroller gave us. He has like a piano on the way. He gave us the organ. Phil Hawk gave us super crazy deals on
Hawk
like,
Music
extra cables
at the Westgate Mall.
Yeah,
shout out.
Yeah, Hawk Music is a great mom and pop music store that everyone should go to and get their stuff.
My buddy Dom Haberstomp, as a graphic designer, he designed our logo for free. So we I hate asking people to do stuff for free like that, but he was so excited just to be part of the project. So that was awesome. And
Nick from the Sustain Chapel, he's like working on building a guitar fixing business. So he's like been doing that a lot. He just kind of like blasted off doing that like a month or so ago.
And he repaired that bass that he had sitting around that wasn't good. You don't
or the guitar, yeah.
I think he repaired that bass too.
Yeah, he fixed it for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It was your bass that he fixed it up, and the guitar he donated and fixed up. So yeah.
Yeah, and he did a great job.
So when we, I was telling Matt when he posted something on Instagram or whatever saying, "Oh, the library's looking for some equipment to get the studio off the ground. We have the board and the microphones and stuff." And I swear it was like 15 minutes. There was a snare drum out the front. I'm like, I didn't have a chance to tell my colleagues downstairs. I work up. And the second one, I was like, to expect instruments to come in. I didn't even tell them. They were like, "Hey, Josh, is there a snare drum on the desk?" They're like, "I don't know why." It's a super nice snare drum.
It's a really great level snare
I
from
was
the
like,
70s.
did someone have it in their car? I was like, what are they? It was literally 15 minutes. But then it just didn't stop. I mean, people just kept bringing in stuff. The Lehigh University Music Department donated drums and a keyboard. And
so between that, we have a backline for upstairs now. And a kit down here for recording, which is pretty slick to have all that, yeah.
And then we got some of these neat like drum machines.
Oh yeah, Chris Long, he's a DJ. He used to play with his band Trouble City All Stars. He does like dub stuff, that kind of thing.
Groove.
He dropped off Dr. Groove drum machine and a Dr. Sampler sampler. What else? And a PA system. We have a power amp and PA speakers now too, which I had no idea we'd have something like that.
And there's more stuff, I think, coming in. So people have reached out to me just this past week saying, like,
what do you need, basically? People are like, what don't you have yet?
Yeah.
Because
we're going to get some cool pedals, like effects pedals.
Yeah.
We have some upstairs, I think, from this morning. Yeah.
Nice.
They keep coming in. Yeah.
That's the beauty of music. It brings people together. And I feel like people who do it the most just want other people to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because everyone has positive experiences with it. They're inspired.
And if you own like an old guitar or something, you just... you can't throw it away. And you can't. You can sell it for.
But you might want to visit it. Sometime.
Yeah.
Take it here. Come check in. See how it's doing.
Yeah. I brought that drum in from home. That was my college
bongo.
roommate. It's been sitting in my basement for a good 20 years. I brought that in.
Yeah, my dad raged on that. So good thing you had that.
That was that old guy on the bongo.
Jeez.
That thing's great.
He's also the loudest voice on the group sing-along thing. When I played it back, he was just like belting. Of course, he had to do that.
He was excited. That's cool.
He was excited.
Yeah, so you guys have recorded a full track here in this studio?
Josh can tell you about that. He wrote a song like almost 10 years ago.
I wrote a song So I used to be a children's librarian before I was a library director.
Okay.
It was super fun for me because I was like, any job you get to bring your guitar to work is a good job. And so I would play songs for kids all the time, like Wheels on the Bus or whatever. And then after a while, I just started writing my own children's songs because I like writing songs, and I was playing for kids, and I was working in a library. So I wrote a song called "I Like Being Loud in the Library." And it was just kind of like a story from the point of view of a kid who loved the library but was always getting in trouble for yelling and running around. I never actually finished it. I had the chorus and half of the lyrics. And then when this project came around, I was like, I'm going to dig out that song. It seemed like a perfect theme song for this project. So so then one of the librarians who works with me here, Regina, has a really nice singing voice. And so we recorded the basic parts, guitar and vocals of I Like Being Loud in the Library. And then Matt added drums. And then everybody who came in to the open house, we just had a couple kind of our We Are the World setup, with all the mics. And everybody would just sing I Like Being Loud in the Library together.
Yeah, we did 13 different recordings that day of people, so we have a super gang.
100 people in there. And then a lot of the other librarians just came down today and recorded. So we're gonna mix it, and then Matt and April added some music, some keyboard.
Yeah, she wants to add Glock still, I think. But we have Casio. I did some bass, and then I did some synth bass too, programmed some stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's gonna be our theme song. And I think we're gonna try to make a video. I think we're gonna make a video just to sort of be a commercial, really, just just a promotion for the project.
I'm gonna drop it in a month. It's gonna kind of explode.
Yeah. Get ready.
So are you going to be here a lot to kind of help out with running this studio at all? Or are you
when
just
I can,
kind of
as needed.
hands-off?
No, I want to be like hands-on. Like I'm down to help really with anything I can.
And the goal is definitely to have Matt, and part of the grant even was like allows us to hire Matt to host some trainings, so he can host, say like a few dozen people at a time on using this stuff. And then once you've been through Matt's course, then you're like certified to run the board on your own. So he won't have to be here, but he can help out as needed. And then we'll probably we have some other folks who have like volunteered their time to kind of. There's like a number of people who are like Sam, who are like engineers already or have some experience in it, and then they'll say just put my name out there if someone needs someone to come in.
We're talking about having just like a list of people to go to or whatever.
And then so you could hire Matt to come in and engineer your album, or
anyone else who has a studio or is an engineer can work here for their normal rate or whatever.
And then it seems like a bunch of people are going to kind of be like our power users, and they're going to become like really expert on it, and then they'll just make themselves available. It really is like I've seen it's been really generosity of spirit of the whole everybody just wants to help. They're just like, I want to come in and if someone wants to record an album, I'll work the board or I'll play drums for them or all this or whatever. So yeah, because none of us as library staff know how to use audio equipment at all. Some of my we would love it if Matt was here all the time, but we know he has another job. So we're going to hopefully get ourselves trained up and at least enough to troubleshoot for people, and then also have a handful of community engineers who will come.
We're also working on something where if I have time at Shards, I'd be able to quick log in and control this computer from there. If someone's super stuck, which I could also do from home.
That's really cool.
So I'd be able to
Is that TeamViewer?
I don't know with their guy. Probably sounds great.
Sign me up. That's the other great thing about this is it allows it to be a learning opportunity for the people who want to do that sort of thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Bethlehem Area School is starting or has already started a music production program.
Yeah,
for their students.
Liberty has East Hills and Liberty both have their own label.
East Hills Middle School has a student-run record label, Charger Records, and then Liberty High School has a music production course that you can take. So and I know even when I talked to the guy at Lehigh, he was saying a lot of his students at the university, could benefit from having hands-on experience with the board outside of class.
Mm-hmm. You'll encounter different things depending on the situation.
Right.
I was telling Sam yesterday, I let him give him the basics, and he was kind of stuck with something, and I was like, but try and figure it out, because you're never going to forget once you figure this out on the fly right now. It's the best way to learn, I always found.
And we were talking to some of the school district teachers about field trips to bring their students over to watch a session happen, and it's a cool experience. You can learn so much in the classroom, but then if you're hands-on doing it, I think it's really gonna make people allow people to learn more deeply and also just it's a cool experience. That's a cool day at school when you get to go to a recording studio and watch a band and help work the board or whatever. So that's
way better than going to an apple orchard or a petting zoo like I did when I was in school.
An apple orchard?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Pick apples?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very boring.
Did you take
It's funny he didn't end up going that route.
Wait, did you take?
He ended up not going that route. It's
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's weird.
It would be funny if they're like, "All right, kids, thanks for the apples."
child labor. There's the Simpsons where they go to a box factory. That's what made me think.
Nice.
It was the most boring field trip. Oh, children.
I don't know where to go from there, I'll be honest.
What was your favorite childhood field trip?
I
Zach?
don't remember. That was 20 years ago. Thanks, Pat.
I will say real quick back on that. I went to NAC for a field trip when I was not a field trip. A class I was in did a whole production there when I was 12, and I was get out of my way, engineer guy. And I was I'm going to turn this reverb up, and I just went nuts. And I pretty much never stopped since then.
Wow,
that was my first
cool.
hands-on thing, and I was I can do this in a space where pro people do it. So that kind
That's
of
great.
It's a weird boundary I might have crossed. It stuck with me though.
Really
No,
showed him up.
It was empowering. It was nothing.
The guy was
empowering though. It made me feel I could do that. I felt confident in that.
So wait, how old did you say you were?
I was 12.
Okay, so you had been doing stuff at home or whatever?
Yeah, I
before that?
messed around with 4-tracks and
Okay.
mixers and stuff like that. But I had a class where we had to produce a commercial, and we did a mock Saturday Night Live thing called Friday Night Pre-Recorded, and I made like a theme song on my MIDI keyboard. And
That sounds like something we would come up with.
And we went there and we like took over the whole studio and did a whole production in one day, pretty much.
Wow.
And I walked out of it feeling like, okay, I can do that like at another studio, if I want to. And like, I mean, the kid could come in here and like after doing the basic training, like run a session and maybe feel like that's the direction they want to go, or just walk away feeling empowered in general, which sometimes as a kid you can be lacking.
The fact that somebody could come in here, this thing that you've had a hand in making, and then have that same experience that you got that started
do
you
something
off.
professional feeling and sounding, and like know that they did that at the age they're at. Like they could completely change their life.
It could, yeah, for sure.
Start a recording studio in the basement of the library one day. Who knows, you know?
So you run a library. So I just have some questions about just generally, like, cause like what, I don't talk to many people who run libraries,
that's
you know,
probably
so
true.
I just have some questions about what are the trials and tribulations involved with running something. And you talked a bit about it, cause I mean, I think there is a stigma right now, especially in the new digital information age where it's like, why? But so it's just running, especially in a place like Bethlehem, which I think is very rich with the culture and the arts too.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's kind of scary or whatever because so much is changing. Like, I think if you ran a library 50, 100 years ago, whatever, like you knew what your job was was to just buy books and help people borrow them, you know? Yeah. And now it's like kind of wide open, which is like a little daunting, but for someone like me, that's exciting because like I like creating new things. Like I feel like I'm all about we just like try new things constantly. Like we're just and I think this library is nice in that we're not tiny, like so we have enough resources to try some different things, but we're not huge, so we're not part of some giant bureaucracy where I need like a year's worth of approval before I can do anything. So I mean the biggest challenge is probably that sort of perception of our own relevance. Like I feel like I bump my head against that every day, and that's frustrating. And then the other challenge, not to get like too heavy, but like America's like social services system is broken. So there are a lot of people who live on the streets, and there's a lot of undiagnosed mental illness in this country and certainly in this city. So there are a lot of people who live on the streets, and the library is like their refuge. It's their place to be warm and to use a computer and to, even some people come and just to use our water fountains because they can't get a drink of water anywhere in the places that they're living there's a lot of encampments within walking distance of here. And that's like we're not set up, like we don't turn anybody away, but we're also not set up to be that. We're not set up to be a place where people spend 10 hours of their day every day with all of their possessions and all the difficulty that sometimes that always goes along with being a person living on the street. So I mean those are that's a challenge. I wish there was I wish there were other services for people. Like I wish there was not so many people falling through the cracks and landing at our door. I mean, they do, and we do try to serve them with dignity and respect like we do anyone, but it's definitely a challenge. So, it's definitely never dull around here. But it's an exciting time. I feel like, when I tell people about like what I do at work, it's like surprising to people, I think. I don't know, even like today, I was like telling my wife that we were going to go record a song today. She was like, you jerk. She had to go to like a staff meeting or something, And I'm like, yeah, we're going to go sing with a bunch of librarians and then film a podcast. And she's like, what the heck? So, but it's fun in that regard, We're always, and I'm really committed to. We've done a lot of renovations since I've been here, so I've been doing like building projects forever, and I was really committed to making our children's room like I don't know if you had a chance to go upstairs, but to make the children's room as like high. You kept saying like high touch and high tech, like it's as like much of like children's. When this building was built in 1967, the children's library was just like a small version of the adult library. Like they expected kids to come in like in suits and just sit down and read. Like it was literally exactly the same, but the furniture was smaller. And now it's like, well, that's not how kids learn, and that's not how they learn certainly today. So like
I imagine it's a lot harder to get them interested now too, with all the competition you have for
there wasn't
entertainment.
there wasn't a
Like
lot
iPads.
of competition.
Yeah.
There was so we have a lot of it's a cool space upstairs, and now we're really committed to making the first floor like really engaging for as a cultural space for adults to come and see a play or see a lecturer, or we have a lot of book related events, book talks and author visits and stuff, but also music, performances, and we're doing more and more in terms of like visual arts. So we've had a lot of photography exhibits since I've been here, and we're hoping to do more of that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, just anything to kind of get people interested and get coming through our doors and have some sort of positive experience with the library, whatever that might be. I forget what the question was. I don't know.
No, you did a great job. So being down here, it definitely has, I mean, at least maybe it was by accident, I don't know, it seems kind of deliberate, but there's definitely an atmosphere for this room and an aesthetic that seems like it was a lot of deliberate choices were made of like where you put things, how you designed things. Mm-hmm. So is there anything that you were particularly fond of when designing this room that you got to think of and do?
Well, it was really fun to like go through all these old books and resist like pocketing some of them. Yeah. But there's just so many like weird old books with really cool art. April and I kind of put a lot of care into like facing the right ones out and the right colors in the right spots to make it feel like inviting everywhere you look. You know what I mean? And we really wanted it to feel comfy. Like I said to somebody else, I said earlier, I didn't want it to feel like you were allowed to be here, but I also wanted it to kind of feel like some chill music room that you don't have. Like, it's like, it's the music spot you get to like go in and lose your mind at that you actually don't have. And it's here for you. So I tried to make it feel like warm like that, basically.
And April, who is Matt's partner, was really, she did a lot of cool stuff with the look of the space too. So shout out to April.
Oh yeah, definitely shout out to April.
She did a lot of this like
those have been changed about like 10 different times.
Yeah, she was very
switching
particular. She did some thrift
thrift
store visits to find some really unique and interesting pieces. And
we had stuff laying around too that like I didn't want to like hang up at Shards anymore, and I didn't want to hang up at home, that we like got at thrift, like that bird right there. That
nice.
That's a pretty sweet bird.
Night
Pretty
bird.
cool. Night bird.
Like glowing night bird. Like whatever.
there's a little
that
unicorn in a cube that came from Shards, I think.
I see it over there on the Wurlitzer.
There's a little touch, a couple. Yeah, if you've been to Shards, I think a couple people mentioned they're like, oh, it has a certain.
A bit of bit of shards.
Yeah, it trickled in.
Shard of shards.
Just a shard.
And April and I did, like went back a lot, like back and forth a lot on like what went where, and then while I was working on that, she'd just get in her own head and go back and forth with herself even more about what goes where. Like
I like the
she
origami.
rearranged the cranes at times. Like, it's like you don't, just don't go up there again. Just get off the ladder.
And we're going to do some more work in here. We have some. We're going to work with some local artists to do, and some kids, I think, to do some murals in here to decorate the outside door. And also
that'll be cool.
Yeah, Josh got a sign too with the Studio 11 logo. He's going to put above the door as well.
That's going to come in real soon.
April wanted to see if someone could paint the absorption stuff, like the more foamy looking stuff.
That really bothers her.
Yeah, it really bothers
Because it's
her.
a bit of an off color from the other
Yeah,
black.
it is. But there's this echo in here that was killing me.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
It was like right here, and I was like, I can't do it. It was just like.
Is that what you just notice in public nowadays? Is like
try
just the
and
sound
turn it off.
production stuff?
I'm like such a buzzkill when listening to music. I'm like, why is that snare that loud? It's like it's on the radio already. They can't change it. It's on a CD. Like, do you hear that, April? And she's like, oh, stop. All I can hear is that stupid snare drum now.
How do you deal with that? Because it's kind of like when I watch movies, I kind of have similar things where it's very hard for me to enjoy certain things passively.
Some things in movies kill me too, like continuity things.
Yeah.
Like when a shot changes and someone's facial expression is different, then like I just can't. I shouldn't. I'm glad I'm not a director because I get nuts with that stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's not like invasive or anything like that. I just don't know. I'm particular about sound stuff. That's all it is.
I would hope so. Yeah, no, I mean, I think this space is awesome, and I really can't wait to see what the community does with it, because I think that, at least to me as a bystander of it, is the most interesting part is like, what is going to come of that? You know, all the possibilities.
I can't wait to be surprised by something.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about like an artist in residence kind of project or something like that. And I'm just like, I can't wait to see someone just blow my mind who I didn't know existed and who was like the next, someone doing something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know they're out there and I can't wait to see that. Like,
And if
it's
this
so
is
exciting.
if this is the place where that fosters that, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think at that point it'd be all worth it.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about that for sure. We keep thinking about the liner notes that are going to mention the library in the future. And
Nice.
We're excited about that.
Do you guys have any upcoming projects, library or Shards or anything?
I mean, I have tons of stuff at Shards, but that's just kind of, that's
All
almost
the time.
every day.
Yeah.
It's like 6 days a week. But yeah, I have tons of Lehigh Valley bands I'm working on, some stuff from out of town that I'm mixing and stuff like that. I've been getting more mix work from out of town where people are emailing me stuff and I'm mixing it there, or someone wanting me to put drums on remotely too. So I've been doing like session work,
Nice.
more so than usual. It's actually been like twice a month or something like that.
Wow.
So I get just songs sent to me, like this band in Brooklyn sends me stuff. I'll drum on it, send them a couple different versions, and that's that. And they work with
Do you
it there.
enjoy doing that more than mixing and stuff sometimes?
I kind of like it all, and I'm glad I do all the different things so I can kind of jump from one to another. It's like when I was younger, I would mix like a song in 6 hours, and that would be my pass at the song. But now I'll like work on something for like a half hour, jump to another song with the bands for another half hour, and kind of pop around and kind of just chop away at it and kind of massage everything into place instead of just pour something into place and forge something into place. It's a little like easier on your brain. To,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
to
I've-
not like hyper focus. I
And
feel
your
like you end
stress
up,
level.
yeah, and like sometimes and it's cool to have this experience because I hope to like teach this to people too, that by that like 99th mix, like the second one probably sounds better than the 99th mix.
especially if you're doing them all in a row. Like if you're spending an enormous amount of time on it, you're just fooling yourself at that point, and it's.
And I
messed
appreciate that
up.
some people have the energy to do
Oh,
that.
yeah,
And
for
like
sure.
I get like that. April gets even more like that when we're working on music together. Like we're both pretty neurotic about that. But sometimes I have to like save people from themselves when it comes to that.
Yeah.
As far as things planned for here, I mean, I just keep hearing about things every day. Like I come in and it's like, oh yeah, we did drums for something last night. Someone's coming in Saturday. I don't know about anything set right now. Do you know anything?
No,
Specific?
I guess for this space, the only thing I would say is to sort of like watch for the announcement for the official like open to the public day that's happening. So that'll be really soon. There's like an unrelated kind of neat project happening at the library. We are so last year we did it was called Frankenreads. It was the 200th anniversary of publication of Frankenstein, and we read the entire novel from beginning to end. We had like a bunch of people each read like a 10-minute part. And this April 30th is I guess Walt Whitman's 200th birthday is in May of this year. So we're doing a read aloud of Song of Myself. It's 52 parts. So we're getting 52 different readers to each like perform a section of Whitman's famous poem at the library on April 30th. So those are like fun community events, and there's like fun way to celebrate literature here. So you can still sign up if you want to read a spot. So.
And also semi-related, Tape Swap is working with the library and doing another CD sale / punk rock flea market at the Ice House in April.
That
And that's
sounds.
to benefit.
The punk rock flea market is a place I want to be.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Did you go last year? Were you-
No, I didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was
We
happening.
had that here.
They had
That
it
was
here
like-
last year. And
That
Tape-
definitely confused some people. that was what the library was hosting. But everyone who came loved it.
Oh, it was
Honestly,
great.
like
It was way better than I thought.
the library's attorney came, he's probably not the intended audience, but he was like, "What a great event, Josh!" He was like, "It was so great." One of the assistant superintendent of the school district came, and he bought all these records. He was thrilled. There was like, I don't know, that was a great event.
Yeah.
That just sort of fell into place because we got this. Well, at least our involvement, we got this ridiculous donation of 25,000 CDs. They come in on like pallets, like on trucks, and we didn't really know what to do with them. And then Seamus and Matt have been talking about having a punk rock flea market. Some other cities have had them, and we got some really interesting different vendors, all sorts of cool stuff. And then the library just had a ton of CDs.
Yeah, it was
for sale.
great. I mean, of all cities, we should be absolutely having one.
Yeah, it was so fun. People
Silly
loved
not
it. And then we got another donation like that of 20,000 CDs.
Yeah, so we're gonna double the vendors and like quadruple the space and do it at the Ice House in like the main floor of the
And
Ice House
also,
this
yeah,
year.
the library's the first floor is under construction yet. So by the end of this summer, we're going to be open our first floor, and that will be a great space for events like that, like a big flea market event, or for concerts and lectures and plays, and I keep having the same kind of idea. Like, I don't know yet what it's gonna be. Like, whatever the community wants to use it for. Like, there's gonna be stuff that I can't even dream up yet that it's gonna be.
With all these things happening, they're gonna know that this is a place you can go to talk about that and like let your dreams start to turn into something, which is beautiful. It's like another wonderful function of this place.
For sure.
So how does using this room work? Do people like schedule time ahead of like somewhere?
Yeah,
Or,
we're
like,
gonna have a pretty simple web form where you just block out a time. Like, we do want to have that training piece in place first, so that like you can check a box that says yes, I know how to use all this stuff, and yes, I've signed the forms, and then it just blocks off a 2-hour time for you. So yeah, a little bit like some of those like little details we haven't quite.
We're thinking about like a cap so it doesn't get overused, and like put the cap weekly maybe so it doesn't like you don't feel like you accrue all these hours by the end of the month. You just use them all up at once or something like that. Little things like that, but I think we'll learn as we go with that.
Yeah, none of it's set in stone. I mean, I want it to be able to be. I don't want people to feel rushed when they're in here, but I also don't want it to be the kind of thing where like, oh well, that's a cool thing, but it's never available.
Yeah.
Like somebody takes every hour, and I just can't ever get in. So we got to strike that balance, but it's
a good problem to have. Though.
Yeah.
For sure.
I expect that it will be. Yeah, at first, I was like, I hope people use it because it's weird.
It's a cool. Saying it's a great idea in my head. It's like perfect thing for me, but not everybody. I wonder is anyone going to come to this open house? Does anyone actually really want to use it? Who isn't me and like the the people surrounding
small
like,
circle,
my circle and everything. Yeah.
But it's been and it's been spreading to all sorts of different like. I really like some people who want to do a podcast or some people who want to do a live.
I don't recommend it.
It's a weird pastime.
Yeah.
What are those?
Some people. I hope we just do. I hope we reach like all different like.
It's like like a lot of
in the
school. I talked to someone from East Hills who was interested in having their students come here. Someone mentioned someone from LVPA like interested in getting kids in here. So I'd like to see it spread out like that direction too, in the educational side of things.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be unbooked very often.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be pretty well booked most days. So that's great.
It's a brave new world here in the library scene in Bethlehem.
That's a good book reference.
Is that on the shelf? So keep an eye out for the grand opening to the public for the new studio. Is there a specific name that it's going to go by? Is the Bethlehem Public Library Recording Studio?
Studio 11.
Studio 11?
Yeah.
Studio is called Studio
11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is our address, 11 West Church
Way
Street.
shorter.
And a Spinal Tap reference.
And a Spinal
Nice.
Tap.
Right, yeah. Please go to 11. That scene. Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
That was a good.
It was a brilliant move.
That made me happy when we thought that out.
So get ready for Studio 11, and I think it's going to be popping off for sure here all the time, honestly. I think that it's something that the community probably wanted. Maybe they didn't know they wanted it, but now they definitely will.
If they wanted it, I don't think they knew it would ever happen.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Right? It's an ambitious...
This does seem like it's kind of too cool to be like
True.
near you, right? It's always like you always hear about cool stuff far away.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
I was telling somebody, like, look, we beat Philly to something.
Yeah.
That one guy who was in here was like, he's like, I was telling my friend in France that we had this in the basement of the library, and he didn't believe me. So he was taking pictures and texting to his friend in France. He was like, look, see, we have something cool.
Yeah, I had friends in LA and like someone I knew in Portland are like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you're right. That's awesome.
That's how you know you're doing something right.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. That was fun.
No, you guys are way more exciting. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for
gladly
making something in the service of, the exact kind of creative people that this show has always been about, and the reason we're doing this as well. So it's awesome. So I hope it goes well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is Poorly Led Podcast signing out. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you guys later. You guys want to say anything?
just kind of ended it.
Plug?
Yeah, I'll slide it.
We've been live streaming this on Instagram, so check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we're also streaming on Twitch
I don't know if there's
semi-regularly. You got a Twitch shirt on, actually.
Oh, check that out. That's weird.
So yeah.
Is there anywhere people can keep up to date with what's going on with Studio 11? Like an easy place?
Oh, the library is bapl.org, and the Facebook page should be updating it. There's also a group on Facebook now too that just started today.
That's cool.
So if you search that,
So we're a PA BAPL on all the social media places, and so that would probably be the best way to find it. Yeah, on our main website, bapl.org. I'll make sure I post stuff up on there too.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sweet.
I guess that's it.
You want to reclose this out?
Nope, not reclosing this out. See you guys later.